First contact, last warning. The observation deck of the Voiduran research vessel Astral Seeker was silent except for Captain Nix Vallen's irritated breathing. Tall and lean, with iridescent blue skin that shimmered under the starlight, he stared at the blue-green planet rotating slowly beneath them. Earth, a Class 3 civilization according to Confederacy classification, technically spacefaring, but confined to their own system, primitive weaponry, no unified planetary government. Unremarkable, he muttered, reading the assessment for the fourth time. Limited interstellar potential, recommended for minimal observation only. First Officer Kellix joined him, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she followed his gaze. The assignment troubles you, Captain. Vallen's jaw tightened. I led the defense of the Proxima Corridor against the Hivemind. I commanded the flagship during the Sirius engagement. Now I'm babysitting researchers as they catalog another primitive world. The High Council values thoroughness, Kellix said diplomatically. The High Council values wasting my talents, Vallen countered. He straightened his uniform, a deep purple adorned with campaign medals. Prepare the assessment team. Standard protocol, 6 researchers, minimal equipment, remote landing zone. The landing site was chosen for its isolation. A mountainous region on an island the humans called New Zealand. Dense forests, sparse population, natural features that would obscure their shuttle's descent. The team, led by Science Officer Zirin, was scheduled to return within 6 Earth hours. They never did. Still no communication, Kellix reported 12 hours later. No distress signal, no beacon activation. Captain Vallen frowned. That's unexpected. Scan the landing zone again. The holographic display flickered to life, showing thermal images of the area. What they saw made no sense. The shuttle remained intact, but it had been moved. Constructed around it was some kind of makeshift compound, barriers, sensor arrays, and what appeared to be weapon emplacements. That's impossible, Vallen whispered. No primitive civilization could adapt our technology so quickly. Captain, the communications officer interrupted, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's using our own encryption protocols. The bridge fell silent as the message played. A human voice, female, speaking in perfect Voiduran. To the vessel in orbit. Your assessment team is unharmed but will remain in our custody. Any attempt at retaliation will result in their immediate execution. Any attempt to land additional forces will be met with appropriate countermeasures. You are not the first, and you won't be the last. Consider this your only warning. Vallen stared at the speaker in disbelief. Trace that signal, find its exact origin. Already done, sir, the tactical officer replied. It's coming from directly beneath the compound they've built around our shuttle. This changes everything, Vallen said quietly. Prepare a retrieval team, 10 of our best, full combat gear. 3,000 feet below, Major Eliza Frost watched the aliens through one-way glass. They weren't what she'd expected. More elegant than the Greys from Roswell, more humanoid than the crystalline beings from the Siberian crash site. These had 4 fingers on each hand, blue skin that seemed to pulse with bioluminescence, and eyes that reflected light like a cat's. They're getting agitated, noted Lieutenant Marcus Webb, leaning against the wall behind her. His weathered face, scarred from previous encounters, remained impassive. The tall one keeps testing the restraints. They should be agitated, Eliza replied, tucking a strand of silver-streaked black hair behind her ear. No one likes discovering they've underestimated their prey. The underground facility, Sentinel Base Kiwi, had been built decades ago, one of 12 similar installations around the globe. From the surface, it appeared to be nothing more than an abandoned weather station. Below were 10 levels of laboratories, barracks, and weapons development facilities, all dedicated to one purpose: preparing humanity for the day the stars came hunting. Professor Darius Wells approached, carrying a tablet displaying translations of the aliens' communication. In his 60s, with dark skin and a shock of white hair, Wells had been with Sentinel since its inception. They're called Voidarans, he explained. Part of something called the Confederacy, a coalition of spacefaring species. From what I can gather from their equipment, they classify Earth as non-threatening. Their technology is approximately 2 centuries ahead of our public capabilities. Public capabilities, Eliza repeated with a thin smile, and our actual capabilities. The gap is much smaller than they'd believe, Wells replied, especially now that we have their shuttle to study. The alien craft had been a goldmine. Sentinel technicians were already reverse engineering its propulsion systems, communications array, and weapons. What would have taken decades of research was being accelerated into months, perhaps weeks. Eliza's earpiece buzzed. Major, we've detected movement from the orbiting vessel. They're deploying something. Show me. The main screen activated, displaying thermal imagery from Sentinel's hidden satellite network. A smaller craft had detached from the alien vessel, descending rapidly toward Earth. They're sending a rescue team, Webb observed. Right on schedule, Eliza nodded. Prepare the welcome committee. Non-lethal measures first. I want more test subjects, but if they resist. Webb understood the unspoken order. Yes, ma'am. The retrieval team never stood a chance. Captain Valen watched in horror as their bodycam feeds cut out one by one, each preceded by flashes of light and screams. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were hunting his soldiers with methodical precision. This is impossible, he whispered as the final feed went dark. They're using directed energy weapons, tactical shields, they even have rudimentary cloaking technology. Sir, Kellick said, her voice trembling slightly. According to our intelligence, humans shouldn't have any of these capabilities for at least another century. Then our intelligence is catastrophically wrong, Valen snapped. Send everything we've recorded to Confederate Command. Flag it as urgent. We need reinforcements. Another transmission interrupted them, this time with video. The same woman appeared on screen, tall, athletic, with the bearing of a veteran commander. Behind her stood several humans in unmarked black uniforms, each carrying weapons that Valen recognized with shock as modified Voidoran designs. Captain Valen, she said, pronouncing his name correctly. I'm Major Eliza Frost of Sentinel. I see you've lost more personnel. That's unfortunate but entirely preventable. How do you know my name? Valen demanded. Your crew members have been cooperative, she replied simply. Let me be clear, we don't want war with the Confederacy or any other interstellar power, but we will not be subjugated, studied, or harvested. Harvested? Valen repeated, genuinely confused. Frost's expression hardened. Don't play innocent. We know what happens to primitive worlds once they're fully assessed. The Arcturus Protocol isn't a secret anymore, not since we salvaged the archives from the Gliese crash. Valen felt his blood run cold. The Arcturus Protocol was among the Confederacy's most classified directives, the systematic exploitation of resource-rich worlds through the gradual replacement of native populations. That humans knew of it was impossible. The Gliese mission had been lost over 60 Earth years ago. You've been watching us since then, he realized aloud. Learning, preparing. Smart, Captain, Frost nodded. Your Confederacy isn't the first to find Earth primitive and unremarkable. But every ship that crashes, every scout that doesn't return, they all contribute to our evolution. Your technology in our hands, your secrets in our minds. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just been developing on its natural course. They'd been selectively advancing their military and defensive technologies using salvaged alien knowledge, all while maintaining the appearance of a normal technological progression. The Confederacy will not tolerate this, Valen warned. When they learn what you've done, they'll send more than research vessels. We're counting on it, Frost replied with a cold smile. We've been in the shadows long enough. Perhaps it's time the galaxy understood what humanity truly is. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence. Valen stared at the empty screen, understanding dawning on him with terrible clarity. This wasn't just first contact gone wrong. This was a trap generations in the making. Send the emergency code, he ordered quietly. Tell them we've awakened something that was never sleeping. 3 days later, the response came. Not just a single ship, but a battle group. 15 vessels appearing at the edge of the solar system, led by the dreadnought Eternal Vigilance. In her command center deep beneath New Zealand's mountains, Eliza Frost watched the approaching fleet on holographic displays. Around her, Sentinel personnel worked with focused intensity, finalizing defense grids, activating sleeper cells around the globe, bringing online weapons systems that had remained hidden for decades. "They've taken the bait," Webb noted as he joined her. "They always do," Eliza replied. "Pride is the universal weakness." She activated the global command channel. "All Sentinel facilities, this is Major Frost. Initiation protocol is now active. I repeat, initiation protocol is active." Across Earth, in deep bunkers and mountain fortresses disguised as research stations and private compounds, humanity's secret guardians acknowledged the order. In orbit, stealth satellites shifted position. On the dark side of the moon, weapon platforms awoke from dormancy. Professor Wells approached with the final report. "The integration is complete. We've successfully adapted the Voidaran shield technology to our existing framework. Global defense grid is at 94% capacity. And Operation Thunderfall." "Ready when you give the word, Major." Eliza nodded, taking a moment to absorb the weight of what was coming. Decades of preparation, of sacrifice and secrecy had led to this moment. Humanity would finally reveal itself not as the primitive species the galaxy believed them to be, but as what they truly were. Survivors, adapters, warriors born from a world that had never offered peace without struggle. "Send one final message to the Confederacy fleet," she ordered. "Keep it simple." Wells nodded, typing quickly on his tablet. On the main view screen, the message appeared in Voidaran text before being transmitted. "You shouldn't have come here. We've been waiting." Awakening storm. Admiral Joran Tresk stood on the command deck of the Eternal Vigilance, his four-fingered hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the small blue planet on the main view screen. His pale green scales gleamed under the bridge lights, ceremonial scars along his jaw marking his ascension through the Confederacy's rigid military hierarchy. "This is the world causing so much trouble?" he asked, voice dripping with disdain. "It looks insignificant." Captain Valen stood at attention beside him, acutely aware of how his warnings had been received, with skepticism bordering on mockery. "With respect, Admiral, I believe we're severely underestimating the human threat." "Your research vessel lost a dozen personnel to primitives, Captain," Tresk replied dismissively. "It's embarrassing, not threatening." "They knew our language, sir. They had knowledge of classified protocols. They've been adapting our technology." Tresk waved a hand, cutting him off. "Isolated incidents. Perhaps they salvaged wreckage from previous expeditions. It doesn't make them a military power." The tactical officer interrupted. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. Text only in perfect Confederate standard." The message appeared on screen, simple yet chilling. "You shouldn't have come here. We've been waiting." Tresk's mouth curved into what passed for a smile among his species. "Arrogant for primitives. Prepare a demonstration strike. Something to humble them. A small coastal city, minimal population. Let's see how quickly they surrender when they understand what they're facing." Valen wanted to protest, but knew it would be futile. The Admiral had already made his decision. "Target locked," the weapons officer announced. "A settlement they call Wellington, population approximately 400,000. "Fire when ready," Tresk ordered coldly. The Eternal Vigilance's main cannon charged, a sphere of energy building at its focus point. The weapon was designed to level cities, a plasma burst that would vaporize everything within a 5-mile radius. Firing in 3, 2. Alarms blared across the bridge. The energy sphere destabilized, collapsing back into the weapon housing. "What happened?" Tresk demanded. "Some kind of interference," the weapons officer replied, frantically checking systems. "Our targeting grid is being scrambled. It's like something is blocking the energy convergence." Valen stepped forward, studying the tactical display. Sir, I'm detecting energy shields around the planet, not just around the target area, they're everywhere. A global defense network. Impossible, Tresk slammed his fist on a console. No planetary civilization has ever deployed global shields. The energy requirements alone would. Admiral, the communications officer interrupted, voice shaking. We're being hailed, multiple sources, from Earth's moon. In the command center of Artemis Base, nestled within the Tycho crater on the lunar surface, Professor Raj Indrani watched with satisfaction as the Confederacy dreadnought's weapon system failed. His dark eyes, enhanced with retinal implants that allowed him to process data at superhuman speeds, tracked multiple holographic displays showing the alien fleet's reactions. Shield matrix holding at 92% efficiency, reported his assistant, Dr. Olivia Chen. They didn't even make a dent. They wouldn't, Raj replied with quiet confidence. The beauty of their own technology turned against them, like trying to set fire to water. Artemis Base was Sentinel's crown jewel, a sprawling complex built within the moon's natural caverns, hidden from Earth and alien eyes alike. Here, for the past 30 years, Raj had led a team of the world's most brilliant minds in reverse engineering alien technology recovered from a dozen crash sites around the globe. Director Frost is online, Olivia announced. Eliza's face appeared on the central screen, her expression stern. Status report, Professor. The shield held as expected, Raj said. Their weapons use the same fundamental principles as the Celestian vessel we salvaged in 2037. The countermeasures are working perfectly. And Operation Thunderfall? Raj smiled, adjusting his glasses. Ready to launch on your command. Eliza nodded. Commence Phase 1. Let's show our visitors what happens when you corner a species that evolved as apex predators. With pleasure. Raj turned to the command interface, speaking clearly for the base's AI. Artemis, initiate Operation Thunderfall Phase 1. Around the moon's dark side, concealed launch bays opened. Dozens of sleek black vessels, smaller than the Confederacy ships but bristling with modified alien weaponry, rose silently from hidden hangars. Each was piloted by a Sentinel operative, trained in secret for years for this exact moment. Thunderfall Squadron launching, the squadron leader's voice came through. Rules of engagement confirmed, disable, not destroy. We want their ships intact. Raj watched as the attack force accelerated toward the Confederacy fleet, employing stealth technology reverse-engineered from 3 different alien races. They won't see our ships until it's too late, he murmured. On the Eternal Vigilance, chaos erupted as alarms blared. Tactical displays showed multiple incoming vessels, appearing seemingly from nowhere. We're under attack, the tactical officer shouted. Unknown craft approaching from the moon, they're using cloaking technology similar to our own. Admiral Tresk stared in disbelief as the first human vessels engaged his outer defensive line. 2 Confederacy frigates reported critical systems failures almost immediately, their engines and weapons disabled by targeted strikes. Impossible, he whispered again, watching as human ships executed maneuvers that should have been beyond their capabilities. How are they doing this? Captain Vallon stepped forward. Sir, we need to regroup. These aren't primitives blindly firing salvaged weapons. This is a coordinated military force with trained pilots and strategic objectives. Another transmission cut through the chaos, audio this time. A male voice with an accent Vallon didn't recognize spoke calmly through the bridge speakers. This is Professor Raj Indrani of Earth's Sentinel Initiative. Your vessels are currently targeted by precision weaponry designed specifically to disable Confederacy ships without destroying them. We have studied your technology, your tactics, and your weaknesses for over 60 years. This is not a war you can win. Stand down. Admiral Tresk's scales darkened with rage. Prepare all weapons, launch fighters. I want those human ships destroyed. The Confederacy fleet responded, launching hundreds of fighter craft and firing energy weapons at the human vessels. Some found their marks, but the human ships absorbed impacts that should have vaporized them instantly. They're shields, Valen noted with growing dread. They're adapted from Myraxian technology. Those aren't standard defensive systems. They're reverse-engineered from the most advanced race in the Confederacy. How could they possibly? Tresk began, but was interrupted by a massive impact that shook the entire dreadnought. Direct hit to our main drive, an officer reported. We're losing power across decks 4 through 17. Valen accessed the external cameras, watching in astonishment as human vessels systematically targeted specific points on each Confederacy ship, not to destroy, but to disable. It was a surgical operation, not a blind attack. These humans weren't fighting out of desperation. They were executing a carefully planned strategy. Sir, Valen said quietly to Tresk, I believe they're capturing our ships. In the depths of Sentinel Base Delta, beneath the Nevada desert, Colonel Jackson Hayes monitored the space battle from a fortified bunker. A career soldier with decades of combat experience, Hayes had been part of Sentinel since its reorganization following the Antarctic discovery of 2018. Thunderfall Squadron reports 6 Confederacy vessels disabled and secured, his communications officer announced. Boarding teams are extracting data cores and taking prisoners. Hayes nodded, his weathered face betraying no emotion. And our casualties? 3 ships lost, sir. Rescue teams are en route. It was better than expected. Much better. The simulations had predicted at least 40% losses against Confederacy technology. The reality was proving much more favorable, evidence that Professor Indrani's adaptations had exceeded even his own expectations. Sir, his intelligence officer interrupted. Director Frost is requesting you begin Phase 2. Hayes straightened, rolling his broad shoulders. About time. Contact all ground teams. Operation Revelation begins now. Across Earth, hidden Sentinel bases activated their final protocols. In the Amazon rainforest, massive hidden doors opened in what appeared to be an untouched hillside, revealing a launch facility. In Antarctica, beneath kilometers of ice, energy readings spiked as ancient machinery awoke. In the Mariana Trench, at the ocean's deepest point, lights flickered to life around a structure no human government had officially acknowledged. This is Colonel Hayes to all Sentinel personnel, he announced through the Global Command Network. Today, humanity stops hiding. Execute Operation Revelation. Admiral Tresk watched in horror as new energy signatures appeared across Earth's surface. Massive structures were emerging from oceans, mountains, and deserts. Facilities that had been hidden from orbital scans by technology that shouldn't have existed on a Class 3 world. What are they? He demanded. Captain Valen studied the readings. Defense installations, sir, but the energy output is enormous. Some of these facilities appear to have been operational for decades, perhaps longer. How did we miss this? Tresk whispered, his previous arrogance evaporating. How could our intelligence be so wrong? Another transmission came through, this time from Earth's surface. Major Eliza Frost appeared on screen, standing in what appeared to be a massive command center with hundreds of personnel working behind her. Admiral Tresk, she said formally, I believe it's time we had a proper conversation about Earth's place in the galaxy. You attacked Confederacy vessels, Tresk snarled. This is an act of war. No, Admiral, Frost corrected calmly. This is an act of self-preservation. We've known about the Confederacy since your scout ship crashed in Antarctica in 2018. The crew survived long enough to be questioned. They were quite informative about your plans for resource extraction and population management. Tresk paled. The Antarctica mission had been classified. Its failure had been attributed to a navigation error. That ship contained details of your previous conquests, Frost continued. Worlds stripped of resources, populations enslaved or worse. We learned what happens to primitive civilizations that catch the Confederacy's attention. So we prepared, she continued. Every alien craft that crashed on our world, and there have been many over the decades, provided new pieces of the puzzle. We reversed engineered your technology, learned your languages, studied your tactics. We built Sentinel to ensure that when you finally came in force, Earth would not be defenseless. The implications struck Valen like a physical blow. Earth hadn't just been lucky in salvaging a few crashed ships. They had been systematically harvesting alien technology for generations, integrating it into a cohesive defense system while maintaining the outward appearance of a developing world. "You deceived us," he said. "We survived," Frost corrected. "Something humans excel at. Now, Admiral Tresk, you have a choice. 6 of your vessels are already under our control. The rest are surrounded. You can continue this battle and lose your entire fleet, or you can withdraw and deliver a message to your Confederacy." "What message?" Tresk asked, his voice hollow. "Earth is not a target. Earth is not a resource. Earth is not yours to take." Frost's expression hardened. "We've been watching the stars for centuries, knowing we weren't alone. We prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. Your Confederacy has proven our caution justified." Across the bridge, reports continued flooding in. More Confederacy ships disabled. Human boarding parties extracting technology and prisoners. The battle was already lost. "The coordinates for a neutral rendezvous point have been transmitted to your vessel," Frost continued. "We will return your captured personnel there in 72 hours. In exchange, the Confederacy will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our right to defend ourselves." "And if we refuse?" Tresk challenged, a final show of defiance. Frost smiled thinly. "Then we'll continue dismantling your fleet, ship by ship, technology by technology, and when we're done, we'll have everything we need to take the fight directly to the Confederacy's core worlds. We've mapped them all from your database, Admiral. We know exactly where to strike." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. "Your orders, Admiral?" Valen asked quietly. Tresk stared at the viewscreen at the planet that had so thoroughly outplayed them. "Recall all remaining fighters. Signal the retreat." He turned to Valen, his expression grim. "The High Council must be informed. Everything we thought we knew about Earth was wrong." As the Confederacy fleet limped away from Earth orbit, Eliza Frost stood in Sentinel's main control room, watching the holographic display with a mixture of relief and apprehension. Around her, personnel celebrated their victory, but she knew better. This wasn't an end. It was a beginning. "They'll be back," Professor Indrani said as he joined her, having returned from the lunar base. "Perhaps not tomorrow or next year, but eventually, with more ships, better intelligence." "I'm counting on it," Eliza replied. "But next time they won't find us waiting behind a facade of primitiveness." She gestured to the global display where Sentinel facilities around the world now operated openly, their existence no longer a secret from humanity or the stars. "Operation Revelation has succeeded beyond our expectations," Raj noted. "The public response has been surprisingly positive." News of alien contact and Sentinel's existence had spread rapidly across Earth. Decades of carefully prepared contingency plans ensured the transition was as smooth as possible. Videos of the space battle, recorded from Sentinel satellites, played on screens worldwide. Humanity was united as never before by the knowledge they were not alone and not defenseless. "We knew this day would come," Eliza said, watching as data streamed in from the captured Confederacy vessels. "Ever since Antarctic Base found that crashed ship and learned what waited for us out there." "The question is, what now?" Colonel Hayes asked as he joined them. "We've shown our hand. The entire galaxy will know about Earth soon enough." Eliza turned to face her 2 most trusted commanders, her expression resolute. "Now we take our place among the stars, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as equals. Humanity has spent generations preparing for this moment." On screens around them, technicians were already cataloging new technologies from the captured ships. Scientists were questioning alien prisoners, and diplomatic teams were preparing for first official contact with other civilizations beyond the Confederacy. "We remain vigilant," she continued. "We build, we learn, and we make it clear to every species watching that humanity will not be underestimated again." Somewhere in deep space, the retreating Confederacy fleet carried news of Earth's awakening. Captain Valen stood on the observation deck of the damaged Eternal Vigilance, watching distant stars and thinking about the planet they'd left behind. He couldn't help but wonder what would emerge from that blue world now that it had shed its mask of primitiveness. Would the galaxy face a new power driven by vengeance, or something else entirely? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain: the universe would never look at Earth the same way again. Across the stars, other civilizations received fragments of data from the battle, grainy footage of human ships disabling Confederacy vessels, scattered transmissions about a planet that had been hiding in plain sight. Some reacted with fear, others with curiosity. A few, long suppressed by Confederacy expansion, watched with growing hope. Earth had done the impossible, Earth had fought back, and Earth had won. The age of humanity's disguise was over. The age of humanity's awakening had begun.